pessoal, sejam todos bem-vindos a mais um episódio do podcast do Clube da Micha. Eu sou o Tarcísio, vosso host, é bom estar com vocês. Não se esqueçam que o nosso podcast está em todas as plataformas digitais, especialmente nas plataformas de audio streaming da Angola, no Quixina da Unitel e no Music Cool. Mais um convidado especial, obviamente. Nós estamos aqui com Malobi OGBECHIE, que é um irmão da Nigéria. Esse podcast vai ser conduzido em inglês, desculpa. E pronto, a nossa dinâmica para hoje é: vamos falar aqui sobre agricultura, vamos falar sobre Agritech, vamos falar sobre o contexto nigeriano, o que é que funciona para eles, quais são os volumes de negócios e, obviamente, vamos tentar também perceber, alinhar com a nossa realidade, a ver se conseguimos absorver alguma coisa que seja válida para nós. Malobi, welcome to our podcast, man.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the conversation.
Oh man, it's a pleasure, man. I saw what you've been doing, and I catch you listening to you a little bit on Clubhouse, and then jump to your platform, and I said, okay, this is the guy I need to have to help us talk about agriculture in Nigeria. So thanks so much for accepting our invitation so fast, man. It's a pleasure.
No worries.
All right, cool. So let us start, man. You good? Can we start now?
Yeah, of course. Let's go. So, like you said, my name is Malobi. Born in Nigeria. I'd say born in Nigeria, raised in the UK. So I spent at least half of my life in the UK. And then I moved back to Nigeria just before the pandemic in 2020, before the lockdown, in Nigeria. And been here since, loving it. Since I got back, I started a couple new ventures. But before I moved back, I used to work in sales in the UK for a market research company. But whilst I was doing that, I had a side hustle where I would essentially bring food from Nigeria to the UK. And the food that I specialized in was called fonio. Fonio is like a superfood basically from West Africa. It's a grain, and it's in the same way that no one really knew what quinoa was before, and then all of a sudden it's in every health food store. It's kind of similar to fonio. It's an up and coming food. So I was doing that on the side, bringing it into the UK on a small level. But I saw that there was a demand for the product. So I thought, the best thing to do would be to move back to Nigeria and to build out this business and scale it properly. Because I know that if I wanted to do it on a large scale, I can't be doing it from remotely in the UK. So that's why I went back to Nigeria. I took a course on agribusiness to improve my skills. And that's pretty much what I've been doing since. And in addition to the food business where I export, I also have recently started a tech company that basically creates tools and products to simplify and make trade easier within Africa. So those are the two main ventures that I'm focusing on right now.
Well, those two topics are so interesting because I myself have been thinking a lot about agriculture because again, every time I speak to a brother from another country in Africa, I get excited because we share so much history, we share so much context, population, demographics, politics, and all that. Nigeria and Angola, that both countries are mainly leaders in oil production, and we sometimes, I don't know how it is in Nigeria, you're gonna let me know, but in Angola, we used to be so big in agriculture. We used to be exporting coffee and other commodities. But now, we like 99% of oil, and it's every time we go out, exactly what you say, we go out and we see like we got so much potential. We could be exporting these things because everybody needs it. Like coffee is like number one beverage everywhere around the world. So, this leads us to believe. So you talking about exporting agriculture commodities and being on a trading business within Africa. That looks like gonna be able to assist us with a lot of questions. So my second question now will be like, what is like to be in Nigeria right now? What is the feeling? give me a couple of aspects in regards to demographics, in regards to economy, in regards to politics. How's Nigeria doing right now?
Yeah, so it's a great question. So Nigeria is great depending on what part of Nigeria you live in, right?
Okay.
So the way it's split up is the northern part of Nigeria is predominantly Muslim, and the southern part is kind of a mix, but mostly Christian. In the southern part, you have a lot, a lot more industries. Like there's the former capital of Nigeria used to be called Lagos, and but Lagos is kind of like the business center of Nigeria. Whereas the political capital, well, the actual capital is in Abuja in the north, and so most of the money and business and banking and all of these, big businesses are based in Lagos, and so there's a lot of money in Lagos. There's a lot of wealth and people investing in real estate, and there's nice beaches, and it's a really nice place. So I recommend if someone wants to go to Nigeria for the first time,
Oh
usually I
yeah, man.
recommend them to go to Lagos because it's business, it's fun, there's a lot going on. But then if you go to the northern part of Nigeria, a lot of it is okay, but there is some issues with terrorism, especially the further north you go. And so it's an interesting situation that we have because now this terrorism thing has been going on for quite a while actually, but it wasn't taken so seriously. It's affecting our agricultural supply because the farmers want to go out to their fields to farm their produce, but sometimes they get killed by, terrorists. So that actually has a profound effect on the price of foods and the ease of doing agribusiness in Nigeria, because most of the agribusiness, at least, yeah, yeah, I could say most. It happens in the north, whereas the south has more like industries and manufacturing. So it's an interesting situation with the terrorism and all that. We've got an election coming up next year. Hopefully things change, but it's a very similar situation to a lot of other West African countries. A lot of terrorism coming from the north, but people in the south have a different lifestyle. So that's pretty much a roundabout summary of what's going on in Nigeria.
All right, great. Yeah, let me ask you about the business environment. Like as you said, you came from the UK and then you pretty much had to set yourself up for the business back home. So, what is the business environment like? Is it easy to set up a business? Like find partners, sit with people, and get the business going. And also, also I want you to talk about the infrastructure, like the roads. Is it easy to move around, like the goods from throughout the country? Like if you want to set like a warehouse, like electricity, power, comms, roads, everything. Like how's the infrastructure like and the business environment?
Sure, sure. So, in terms of the ease of doing business, it's getting better. I remember a while ago, a lot of these things were not digitized. So, in the UK, if you want to set up a business, you just go to the UK government website, you fill out, your information, and then like literally like 5-10 minutes, you've set up a company, right? And you maybe pay, you know, uh, £15, maybe let's just say like $20 or something. Whereas in Nigeria, it was a lot longer and even more expensive to set up a business, which is kind of ironic, right? Because we're a so-called developing country, but setting up a business is a lot harder over here, which and we need more businesses. So, but things have improved a lot. The price has gone down to set up a company, and it's digitized now. So and people can do it online themselves. So it's gotten a lot bit easier setting up a business. Now, when we're talking about infrastructure, there is some issues there. So when it comes to electricity, we're just not generating enough power, which also affects the manufacturing industries and just the general household. We don't have constant electricity or constant light in the homes. In addition to that, the roads as well. Some roads are better than others, depending on where I live in it's called Port Harcourt. So the governor has recently invested a lot in infrastructure. So the roads are great here. Obviously, when you go out of the main roads, it gets worse. But you know, I think it's okay in certain parts of the country. But when you're talking about moving goods from one side of the country to the other, it's not really good. So when you're talking about interstate travel, like within the country, it's not, the roads aren't great. But some in the center, like in the center of each of the individual states, the roads tend to be a lot better. So that's pretty much how it is in terms of infrastructure. Um, there's a lot of work to be done. The healthcare is, doctors aren't paid very well. A lot of people can't afford the healthcare. The education can be improved, but I mean, but in regards to the agribusiness and agricultural sector, really the biggest issue is the insecurity. Really, the terrorism, the people coming to farms, taking over people's farms, killing the farmers. That's the biggest issue that the government needs to solve. And then other stuff around roads and stuff, that stuff you can kind of work your way around. Yes, it might affect your trucks and all that, but at least you can trade. People can go to their farm safely. That's the most important thing right now.
All right, cool. Thank you for that. Take us through the step by step of the agribusiness, at least like the most important aspects, because I've spoken to a couple of agriculture entrepreneurs here in Angola, and they gave me a picture of what it's like to act, on a big scale and small scale, like what it's like to deal with a big company who does farming in a big way, and what it's like to have like a small farm, like 10 people farming for commercial purpose as well, and move around from one point to the next for selling in an open market and all that. Just take me through to find out how it is on your side. Like, is it hard to, like the different steps of the way? Because for us, for instance, we have a lot of difficulty in what you said, like which is transportation, because we have no issues on the production, but moving from one place to the other, this is where the challenge is. So, what is like if you had to take a step by step of the process of the agribusiness on your side?
Of course, of course. So, when I like to look at agribusiness, I like to expand it beyond just the farming. So I like to encourage people to look at different parts of the value chain. So you can, get into providing packaging. You can get into the logistics business. You can get into, consulting. You can get into there's so many different aspects. Finance, agricultural finance. So I like to look at it as the big picture. So and because then people can see how they can bring in their skills into the agribusiness sector. In addition to that, I also like to point out that you don't necessarily have to be a farmer to be an agribusiness. So how I started, which is the way I recommend some people to start, depending on where they are, which is I started off just buying the goods, and then selling it to someone else, right? Starting off as a trader, because then you start understanding the seasonality, how the product looks, how it feels, getting a real feel for the goods. So when you start off trading, it's an easier, less risky step into agribusiness. Then once you've traded for a while and you understand the product, you understand the market, then you can look and see, okay, I've traded this for a while. Maybe I can start doing my own packaging. I've done that. Maybe I can build my own factory or do my own processing. Okay, I've done that. Okay, now maybe I can go back even further and get into the farming side. And I particularly recommend this for people that live outside of the African country that they're from. So like the diaspora, Angolans in your case, diaspora Nigerians. Now, when you speak about the actual agriculture, that is the farming of it, I think, it depends on, like you said, it depends on the model, right? Because if you're going to start off for the first time, you want to make sure that you are very close to where the farm is. You want to be able to check in, because a lot of people say, oh, I'll just have my relative do this and that. And that's not really recommended, in my opinion, because I've seen a lot of people have bad experiences, even when the relatives have good intentions. So you also want to be either on the farm or live close to the farm, or be in proximity to be able to visit the farm regularly. And then once you're able to establish that, you can pick a crop you want to focus on. Now, if you're doing things on a cooperative level, you can get what is called an agricultural extension officer, or someone essentially that will be your go-to person, either like a farm manager or extension officer. Extension officer is the person that works with the cooperative, makes sure that everything is organized properly, helps provide inputs and all that. And then when you're talking about a farm manager, that's if you're not working with a cooperative at all. Like you have your own farm and you're employing people on that farm. Then you need your own farm manager. And the best thing to do is just to hire someone that's trained and skilled, that understands the business and has already managed a farm in the past. And that's how you start getting into it. I think more people should get into agribusiness and agriculture in general, but I think people should also do their homework, take their time, don't rush it. It's not Bitcoin, it's not all these things, right? You want people to because I think people get romanced by the idea of starting a farm, but it's work, and it's not easy, and you have to do your research, and and you're at the mercy of nature itself. So I encourage people to just do as much research as possible.
Yeah, I mean, what you said, every person I spoke to in regards to that topic, they told me this very same thing. This is not like being in an office and just typing stuff. This is, you need to go to the field. You need to put your hands and feel what it's like, and still you can fail because like insects, like the nature, heavy rain, absence of water. Small things that you cannot control can ruin your process, and you need to be in love with that. You need to be a person that really loves that in order to it's not it won't make you rich if you don't have the right the type of stuff that it requires, like the patience and the patience and the passion for the businessman. So I agree with you in that regard. Yeah, let us talk a little bit about Agritech. What are the when you speak about Agritech, what are we talking about exactly? Are we talking about devices? Are we talking about some sort of knowledge that is applied to that? We're talking about like a system of like an environment. What are we talking about? What does it mean to? I mean, what is Agritech? Sorry for that. So I wanted to know what is Agritech. We sort of get our head around the term, but what is if we can speak about that in more depth.
Sure. It's pretty straightforward. I mean, any technology that's applied to agriculture, it can be an app, it can be some sort of machinery or equipment, it can be drone technology, it could be blockchain, it could be, even just buying a tractor is a form of technology, although it wouldn't fall under agri-tech. But with this agri-tech thing, I think that it's very important that we do employ more new technologies into agribusiness. But for some people disagree, but from my perspective, a lot of the agri-tech is sometimes going way further than what is actually needed on the ground. So what sometimes I found is that the people that are developing these technologies are not working in the agricultural space, or are not really they're not working with people in that space. So they think, what would be great is blockchain, this, that, and the other, right? But sometimes what is actually needed on the ground for the farmers is much simpler. Like in Nigeria, for example, we just don't have enough tractors. And there is a company called Hello Tractor, which allows people to sort of rent out tractors when they need it. But just providing more tractors to farmers, or providing more harvesting equipment. Very, very boring machinery, but very necessary machinery. And
Right?
Exactly. So I think sometimes we kind of get thrown away with the whole, let's see how we can throw cryptocurrency or drone technology, all these fancy new things, or artificial intelligence, right? We get sort of enamored by these cool new things, and we just try and plonk it onto agriculture in Africa. But a lot of the time it's way too far ahead. It's like, let's step it back a bit. Let's make sure that the farmers have, just irrigation, just
Mm-hmm.
being able to water their farms during the dry season.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very old school, simple stuff without needing to go all the way down to the complicated stuff. And that's not to say that we don't need the high tech. We do need it. But a lot of the time, in my experience, 80% to 90% of the time is the simpler stuff that we actually need.
Gotcha, man, and I agree with you because, uh, at least on our side, the challenges that we face, especially for the small farmers, are exactly that. So I like the fact that besides, first of all, obviously, people tend to, when they hear the term technology, they tend to think about fancy things, but it's exactly what you say. Like everything that is all the knowledge applied to a field, it qualifies. Even the heavy machinery, like the big machines, or even the tools. Those two are part of the technology behind the business. So completely agree with you, man.
Hmm.
How about the entrepreneur ecosystem or entrepreneurship ecosystem back home? How is it like? We know that you guys do quite well. First of all, because your economy, and you guys have a long term relationship with countries. Every big country, like in the first world country, has an interest in the economy in Nigeria. So I think that help you guys speed up things like your entrepreneurship ecosystem. But again, because you had to pretty much start over when you got back, was it easy to get in touch with other entrepreneurs and make good connections and build up from that? What was it like?
That's a great question. To be honest, I haven't really done as much networking as I should have done, but recently I went to a few tech hubs and got invited to attend a sort of Google developer summit in my hometown here. So that really helped me for networking. So you do have to go out of your way, but there's a lot of young people. There are a lot of smart young people looking for new opportunities, working on amazing projects. But sometimes they just don't have that financing to get it off the ground. But yeah, the entrepreneurship, like Nigerians in general, were very, very entrepreneurial, very, very hardworking people. Despite what the negative stereotypes that are out there, we have some really, really great minds out in Nigeria. In Lagos, in particular, there's a lot of startups. We have different tech hubs in Lagos. We have in different parts of the country as well, but most of the bigger ones are in Lagos, and they're doing great things. Nigeria's doing really, really well in the fintech industry, and there's loads of new apps coming out all the time, even in the agribusiness space. But I think that this younger generation, though, I think there needs to be a bit more interest in the farming side. The problem is that is with the insecurity issue, it doesn't really help,
Hmm.
right? So until the government solves that, what young person is going to go and risk their life to get into farming when they can go into the city and try and find a job? So there's some challenges there, but I think that the entrepreneurship scene in Nigeria, I've met some really great minds, and funnily enough, a lot of my networking has been online. I don't
Hmm.
actually need to go to these events in person. Clubhouse has been great. I've met a lot of people on Clubhouse. To be honest, that's most of where my networking goes on. So I've met some great people. I've made some business partners just through WhatsApp. So it's not a case. I don't feel like I have to go out to events in particular, although they help. I just find that online networking has been just as useful for me.
Gotcha, man. That's great. I mean, that's pretty much where where I found you, right? So definitely it's been working, I can say. And we towards the end, and I like the fact that bringing up great answers and straightforward. Two questions to finish. Does the how does the government back home sees agriculture? Because in here for us, because we haven't been doing much of the business to bring like to if you look at our GDP, it's pretty much oil. So we started some measures to sort of incentive the agriculture business and others as well. So in Angola, we're trying to push that agenda, but again, infrastructure is a challenge. So how does Nigeria government sees agriculture? Is it where the government wants to be? Is there some sort of incentive on like reduction on taxes on that agenda to incentive more production? And what is the process like to take crop or like commodities to the UK or any other country, but I'm talking about the UK because you have that experience. So what's the challenge to the process to make that exportation process from Nigeria to the UK, like the challenges, the regulations, the requirements, what is like?
Sure, sure. So, to the first question, the government and agribusiness, like you said earlier, I was going to actually make a point on that. Angola and Nigeria have very similar situations where, some people call it the oil curse, right?
Oh yeah.
Once you have oil and gas, everyone's eyes and energy and everything goes into that sector because there's a lot of big money to be made, right? And so similar to you guys, our agricultural sector was booming in the colonial and just post-colonial times. Nigeria used to be the largest exporter of palm oil in the entire world, and now we're like in the top 5 or 6. And the first palm tree to be, because Malaysia and Indonesia are leading palm oil production, but the first palm tree to be planted in Malaysia was from a Nigerian tree. So to think that they've grown to such heights and it came from our crops, so it just shows that we've really neglected agribusiness as a sector, whether it be because of the oil and gas, whether it be because it's not really being marketed to the next generation, and I think that's another challenge. I think people have this stigma around agriculture, agribusiness, like, oh, it's for poor people and all these things. But so there needs to be a really different change around the branding of what agriculture and agribusiness means. And it is something that you can make money. It's not a get rich quick scheme, but you can make good money doing it if you do it well. So that's pretty much how the government has done some work though, because Nigeria is being a net importer. We import a lot of rice. We have been importing a lot of rice, and the government has basically put a ban on importation of rice so that we can grow our own rice internally. And there's been some challenges with that, obviously, because once you ban the cheap rice, obviously all you have is the expensive rice. But as time has gone on, there's been a lot of investment into rice mills and expansion of rice production in the country. So there has been some policies that have been put in place. Very recently, there's been a fund for exporters in Nigeria, but these are very recent developments and they haven't been done very well. So there is some work being done, but it's not done well enough. And even people that are in the space, they don't even know where to get funding and financing. And there's this lack of communication between potential entrepreneurs and investors and what the government is doing in the agricultural sector. So, but I think we will get there. And I think that we've had some recent changes in the head of the Ministry of Agriculture. So let's see how this new person does. Now, when it comes to the exportation of fonio or exportation in general, and the process, I think each product has its own unique issues and challenges, right? Luckily, the product I'm working with is relatively easy. It's not perishable. So I recommend people, when they get into agribusiness for the first time, try and do products that are not so perishable. It's products that have a long shelf life. So mine is a dry grain product, so very easy. So I don't have to rely on cold refrigerated containers and all of that. When it comes to getting an export license, there's a export promotion council in Nigeria that helps you with that. And generally, it seems like the government is really trying to track how much products are going in and out of the country, and so they're putting a lot of these new things and forms and stuff you have to fill in before you export your goods, which is making things a lot more complicated. But in the long run, I guess they're doing it for the right reasons. Now, when it comes to getting stuff into the UK, you just basically each product has a HS code, and so you just find out what that HS code is for your product, and then look at the regulations around that HS code for the country that you're looking to move the goods to. That's the first thing I would do. Say, for example, in the UK, a lot of peanuts in Africa have aflatoxins. It's just basically something that grows in the peanuts. So you have to make sure that all of your products have zero or little to no aflatoxins, right? So you just have to understand each. Not think of it as export anything and put it all in one box. No, each particular product has its own particular ways of exporting and rules and regulations and different taxes. So you just have to pick a product, identify a market, and I've actually created a course as well. So
that's wonderful,
if
man.
you want me to, if you want to share that, although it's for the Nigerian market, who knows? People maybe could apply it to Angola, but we detailed like a structure on how to get the products. Which products you pick. Identifying markets, marketing it, logistics, and all of that. One other solution that I would round up in saying is that one thing that I found is in Nigeria there wasn't enough what's called groupage. Groupage is when you share space within a shipping container. So a lot of companies were not offering this. So we're working on an app now which allows people to very easily book a space within a shipping container.
Wow.
So if you think of like Uber Pool, but for shipping containers. Because what people are doing right now is because they can't pay for a full container, they're sending everything by air. And if you've exported before, air is much more expensive than moving it by sea. Sea takes a long time, but it's much cheaper. So we're basically doing something in between where we're saying, look, we know you want to get a container or you want to move things by sea. We're going to use this app to let you book a space within a container and share with your peers, share with other people, and to reduce your cost of shipping. So these are the other things and projects that we're working on. And that's pretty much, as much as I can think of saying for right now. But if you have any other questions or anything, I'm here to answer, because we've got courses, we've got apps we're working on, and I'm sure people can benefit from those.
Hey man, my last question would be, what are the margins like? Like, can you give us an idea of the margins of exporting those the fonio, for instance, just for example? What margins are you looking
so it depends. It depends. Well, because fonio is a superfood. I don't know the margins. And okay, let me calculate in, let's say, okay, so before I had my own production, I would say I was probably maybe it cost me like $4 to make 1 kilogram. Or no, actually, let's say 2.5. Let's say it cost me $2.5 to $3 to make my product, and then selling it, I would sell it for maybe close to $10 or something. So that's a superfood as well. So there's lots of other products that are different margins, and that's not including the cost of shipping it though. But the sky is really the limit. And the thing is, with the business model I'm doing right now is, before I would export it, put it in my packaging, send it to different retailers. But now what I do is I sell the product to people, and they can create their own brand of fonio with my product. So it's less hassle for me basically, and I have to do less marketing to different stores. I can just sell it in bulk, and that's much easier for me.
Oh man, that's wonderful. Hey man, I'm so happy. What a great content we got here, man. You got all the answers that I was looking at, and my advice to you, just stay ready, stay open, because I'm sure that my Angolan partner's gonna knock your door, is gonna wanna trying to find out about that course of yours, and so just keep keep your emails, keep checking your emails, and because you're gonna get for sure is gonna get some people trying to get in touch with you, and I'm really happy for your time. Yeah, that's the type of investment that we value on our platform, like time, people taking time to share their experience, things like are strategic to their business, but they willing to share with us, they willing to let people know, to help, because one insight of, I'm sure that stuff that you shared in here, like one insight is gonna give a lot of help to whoever is listening, our audience, and I'm happy for that. Thanks so much for your time and your experience, man. I'm really happy. So
no, thank you so much for having me, and we've got to also talk offline. I want to get to know a bit more about what's going on in Angola, but thanks for your time.
I mean, I'll be happy to develop on that. We can catch up some other time. But Angola is we have a lot of resources on regards to water, rivers. So we're not capitalizing on what we should be. So there is a lot of potential in Angola, and to team up with people is already doing that, because we have just to give you an idea, we have a very low density population. Angola is like a 30 million people country. So you got provinces that have almost zero people and a lot of land to be explored. So like with rivers and stuff this, sky's the limit, man. So I'll be really happy to develop on that, and we can catch up any other time you want, man. Thank you so much for your time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Cool. Pessoal, é tudo o que temos para hoje, então. Um grande abraço, obrigado por ficarem connosco. Não esqueçam de seguir as nossas redes sociais. E pronto, tudo que temos para hoje, obrigado. Malobi, thanks again, man. Stay well. I'll see you around, man.
Thank you. Peace.